One of the most important things that my dad taught me was the value of an education. And I don't mean the traditional one that you get in school. He told me that when you stop learning, you stop growing. And the idea of growth right now might feel like really hard and heavy. It may feel like one more thing that you have to do and another thing that's going to go on that never-ending to-do list. So I want to acknowledge if that's how you're feeling right now, that's okay. You're not alone. Sit with it. And then when you're ready, let's dive in. In the work that I do, I get a spectrum of where relationships are. Some of the couples I work with are doing great and they just need a bit of a tune-up. Other relationships are on life support. And usually when relationships are barely holding on by a thread, it's because the two individuals inside of it are struggling. See, our relationships are only as strong as the one who feels the least connected, the least fulfilled, the least desired, the least loved. We want our relationships to have a strong and stable foundation. But here's the thing. It's not very sexy. Stability. I mean, sure, maybe in the beginning, but over time, stability turns into monotony. And monotony, while very much appreciated by the primitive parts of our brain, is not appreciated by the nether regions of our body. So we want to find ways that we can stimulate that sexual desire. And one of the best ways to do that is through learning. Who knew education could be so fun? My name is Courtney Boyer. I'm a relationship and sexuality expert, and I am the author of Not Tonight, Honey, Why Women Actually Don't Want Sex and What We Can Do About It. I have been trained clinically as a mental health and sex therapist, and I'm certified as a life coach. I also am a certified Reiki practitioner because I'm a big fan of the mind-body connection. I am also a mom of 3, a military spouse, and a lifelong learner. I am so excited to be back this year to celebrate Military Marriage Day with you all. I hope that you know how honored I am to be a part of this event and to have the opportunity to encourage, to equip, and to empower you in your relationship, no matter where you're at. Because that's really what I hope to do in our short time together. If the knowledge and expertise I have doesn't translate to more stronger, connected relationships, then I'm not accomplishing my life's work. And that is something that's super important to me, is helping people have strong and connected relationships, both with themselves and with those that they care about in their life. So before we begin, it may be helpful for you to grab a journal or a notebook or even open the notes app on your phone so that you can jot a few things down. As I do in all of my client sessions and workshops, I will be assigning homework. Not because you need one more thing to do, but because growth and transformation are more likely to occur when we integrate the learnings into our life. Don't worry, no grades will be given out. So, the first question I want you to consider is this. Why are you doing this? Why are you watching a video on relationships and learning and sex and marriage, or whatever relationship you find yourself in? Maybe things are great in your relationship and you want them just to be a little bit better. Or maybe you're barely speaking to each other and you haven't touched in months. Both places or anywhere else on that spectrum is exactly where you need to be because it's currently where you are. And you're here now. You're here because you want to learn so you can be better together. So regardless of how healthy you describe your relationship, it's still important for you to identify why you're here. Because if it is one thing that I have learned over the years, both personally and professionally, it's if you're doing something for someone else, the results don't last very long. And when we do something for someone else that we really don't want to be doing, we just punched ourselves a one-way ticket to the town of resentment. So if you wrote down that you're doing this for your partner, I would encourage you to maybe find a way to do this for you. Because when we show up for ourselves, it changes how we show up in our relationships. And when we show up differently, that's when our relationships begin to change. But that change has to begin with us. And it's really important that you see it as a change and not a fix, because a fix indicates brokenness. And you, my friend, are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you, despite what you may be feeling or have been feeling, or what anybody else has told you. If that is the one thing that you walk away from our time together with, then I have succeeded. So please, please know that you are not broken. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that there are not growth opportunities. Even in the healthiest of people, there are still opportunities for all of us to learn about ourselves. And I truly believe that what is a challenging experience is really happening for us and not to us. For us. I believe that challenges happen in our lives so that we can change. That doesn't mean that they feel good. In fact, I'm not even going to try to pretend that they do most of the time, because really, let's be honest, they don't. But it starts with us. So here's the next question I want you to consider. How well do I know myself? And since this is a talk given by a sexpert, I'm going to focus on sex a little bit today. So how well do I know myself sexually? What does that even mean? So let me break it down. Consider the following 3 areas. How well do I know my desires, the things that turn me on, and the things that turn me off? So we're going to look at each one of these. First, how well do I know my desires? Now, usually when we hear the word desire in a sex talk, we think about the sexual desires, fantasies, etc. And those are all fun and great. But what I'm really interested in are the desires of your heart, the things that light you up from the inside out, outside of the bedroom. Because that's where I see sexual desire being sustained, not in a short-term performance. I'm interested in the long-term outlook, not the quick fix. When someone knows the desires of their heart, the things that light them up, that make them happy, bring them joy, they are more easily connected to their sexual energy. They're more easily aroused and more willing to get it on. Think of it like a pilot light on those gas stoves. If the pilot light is always off, it takes longer to heat up that can of soup. But if the pilot light is already on, it translates into what you want, getting there quicker. So in your notes, ask yourself, what do I desire? What lights me up? What makes me happy? What do I enjoy doing? What brings me joy? And what kind of environments do I feel most valued in? When I work with individuals who are fulfilled in their overall life, I see them enjoying sex so much more. The question, or all of the questions I'm asking you to consider, is a fantastic date night topic with your partner. In fact, that is a great idea. Taking each of the questions we're covering and exploring one of them, or heck, all of them, next time you and your partner have some alone time together. That way, you're learning and growing, not just as individuals, but also together. The next 2 areas, what turns you on and what turns you off, are inextricably linked. So we're going to cover them together. I want you to imagine a car. Doesn't matter if it's a truck or a smart car. Just imagine one where you are sitting in the driver's seat. And at your feet are a gas pedal and a brake pedal. I want you to focus on the accelerator. So the gas pedal, this is also known as the excitatory process. This is your body responding to all the sexual information that is relevant in your environment. So we're talking about everything that you can see, hear, taste, touch, smell, or imagine, and your brain assigns those as sexually relevant. And that turns the turn on signal, and that's what pushes down your brake pedal. Your gas pedal. At the same time, the inhibitory, or the brake pedal, is noticing all the very good reasons not to be turned on right now. So it uses the same information from your environment, everything you hear, see, taste, touch, smell, or imagine, and it can send that turn off, pump the brake signal. So that's really, really important to understand. Arousal is not just the process of turning on the ons, it's also turning off the offs. I want to repeat that. It isn't just about slamming down that gas pedal, it's also about releasing the brake pedal. Have you ever pushed down the gas and the brake pedal at the same time? What happens? Well, when I've done it, the engine revs, but you don't go anywhere because the brake is more powerful than the accelerator. Let me repeat that. The brake, what turns you off, is way more powerful than the gas, what turns you on. So you can be at the most romantic resort in Jamaica with your sweetie, with the kids at home in Mississippi with grandma, and still not be able to get in the mood. Why? Because the brake will always win. So when I work with clients, one of the things that I have them do is to identify their gas pedal, the things that turn them on, as well as the brake pedal, the things that turn them off. And this is where most clinicians miss the boat. They're super focused on the gas pedal. Go buy the lingerie, send the kids to grandma's, bust out the sex toys, you'll be fine. So when the woman does this and she still cannot connect to herself sexually, she tries to push harder on the gas. And then she's made to feel even more stigmatized for her inability to figure it out and get it together. So what does she do? She fakes it. She suppresses her frustration, she ignores the guilt, and she puts on a good show for her partner. All the while, she can't wait for him to be done so that she can go back to doing what she actually wants to do. And I know that sounds pretty harsh, but I have heard it countless times when it comes to my clients. I am here to tell you that there is nothing wrong with you if you haven't figured out why you can't just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Because I'm sure you've tried. I'm sure you've tried to take a bath before you get busy. I'm sure you've tried drinking a glass of wine or 3 to just de-stress. Maybe you've even flipped through the Kama Sutra in hopes of finding that magical position. Can the latter help? Sure, but I want to go deeper by helping you to identify why that might be difficult to do. It's also important to note that some people just have a more sensitive gas pedal and some people have a more sensitive brake pedal. So regardless of how sensitive those pedals are, it's important to remember that there's nothing wrong with you. It just may mean that you push down more easily on your brakes, or you need a lot more oomph to get the gas going. When we learn about how our brakes and gas work, the things that turn us on and turn us off, we're more able to communicate what our needs are to our partner. But we don't know what we don't know, and we can't communicate from an empty space. So I'm giving you permission to explore the things that turn you on. And if you're struggling with coming up with something, consider your senses. What are the things that visually stimulate me? And when I say stimulate, I mean those things that send a pulse, a zing, or a blood flow to your genital area. For women, this will look like vaginal lubrication, engorgement of the clitoris, erect nipples, and for men, it can look like an erection. That's not an exhaustive list of arousal, but for now, that's what we're going with. What kind of smells trigger my arousal? What kind of tastes? What kind of sounds? Sound is a great one because it can also include music or vibration which our bodies naturally respond to. And finally, what kind of fibers or surfaces or firmness get me going? And if you're still struggling, try to think back to a time when you and your partner were first attracted to each other, when you first became physically and sexually intimate. What about them? What about those early experiences turned you on? So if you've thought about the things that turn you on, there's a second step, and it's incredibly important. I need you to communicate these to your partner. They need to know these things so that they can be a more attentive lover, so that they can be a catalyst in your climax. If you keep all this juicy knowledge to yourself, then it's hard to grow together. The same goes for the things that turn you off. That big old brake pedal. You can absolutely use your senses as a checklist like we did with your turn-ons, but also consider, and you can apply this to your turn-ons as well, the behaviors of your partner that also turn you off. One of the things that I like to tell couples is that foreplay isn't just the physical stuff that happens right before intercourse. It's really the time between one sexual act and the other, meaning how you treat each other, how you care for each other, how you express your love and affection. That all counts as foreplay. And that affects how your partner shows up the next time you want to get busy. So, final thoughts here. I hope that you consider it a gift to continue learning about your partner. I know we focused a lot on your own personal learning, so I want to leave you with this. When we are willing to first understand ourselves, we model for our partner that it is also safe for them to explore their own needs and desires. And from there, you create a space where you both can together and individually never have to stop learning about each other. Thank you again for this opportunity to celebrate Military Marriage Day with you. If you'd like to stay connected with me, and you can find me on social media at Courtney Boyer Coaching, Courtney with a C. And you can also grab a copy of my book, Not Tonight, Honey, Why Women Actually Don't Want Sex and What We Can Do About It, on Amazon and other major retailers. So it's a great book to go through as a couple and offers a lot of learning opportunities. I wish you all the passion in your life and in your relationships. And the winner is